Okay, thank you. I will begin tonight with an oath of office. Katrina Davey will conduct an oath of office to reappoint our board vice president, Carmen Smith. Yep.
All right, so if you would raise your right hand, please. Carmelita Smith, do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will partially discharge your duties as a member of the Stark County Board of Developmental Disabilities to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws and the rules and the regulations of the board now in effect and hereinafter to be enacted during the continuance in said office and until your successor is appointed? If so, the answer is I do.
I do.
All right, Carlita, Stark County Community, do hereby name you to the Board of Developmental Disabilities. Congratulations. And thank you.
Continue now. I'd like to now call the regular board meeting to order. Meeting called at 6:03. Now the roll call. Jim Anderson. Present.
Here.
Maria Hickey.
Here.
Jennifer Long.
Here.
Carmelita Smith.
Here.
Cindy Sutter.
Here.
And Dan Sutter is here. Okay, we can move to in memoriam. We extend our sincere condolences to the families of the since our last meeting. We have Mary Masterson, age 62, effective Tuesday, February 7th. She received services from our SSA department. We have Alan Beckett, age 60, passed away Wednesday, January 25th. Alan participated in Special Olympics and received services from our SSA department. Let's take a moment of silence to honor their lives in passing. Okay, thank you. Okay, now need a motion to approve minutes from the regular board meeting held January 24th.
Alva Lang moves.
Second.
Anderson seconds.
Thank you. All in favor of approval of board meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. No abstentions. Minutes are approved. Want to take anyone from the public speaks? The public speaks. We'll move on to the president's report. Good evening again. Well, I attended my first statewide OACP trustee meeting and received a lot of important updates on the state budget and the legislative campaign. They included in that state budget the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities' proposed language that would mandate the next commissioner's board appointment for each county to have a person served to be appointed. And for Stark County, as it stands, would actually be my seat that will open up on January 25th. So this language is being monitored closely, and we noted before that the state budget bill will be finalized by June 30th this year. Another note, I'd like to encourage us to check out the Ohio DD Crisis website. That's www.ohiocrisis.com, and encourage you and our families to put our personal stories of how the workforce crisis is impacting our lives. If you've not seen the webinar, I encourage you to view it, and it will count for 1 hour of our full training this year. Then tomorrow, Bill and I will be meeting with Rick Harmon, managing editor of Camp Repository. We'll share the work of the board agency and its impact on the Stark County community. This lunch meeting is about relationship building at the time the newspapers are under a lot of transition. And Rick is interested in something knowing more about Stark TV and our mission. Are there any questions? If not, this concludes the president's report. Superintendent's report.
On August 22nd through August 24th, we will have our Department of Developmental Disabilities Accreditation Survey. We will be notified on May 22nd, 90 days before that review, and provided a sample. Then we'll have 60 days to put all the required documentation together, and then have to submit it by July 22nd, which is 30 days out from the actual survey. So that'll be here before we know it, and I just want our board to know that there's been numerous improvements we continue to make in our SSA department. Though compliance matters, it is really about fulfilling our mission every day, where any kind of question of accreditation really becomes not an issue. Ensuring people are living the life they want to live, life that's safe, life that's healthy, a life that's happy and fulfilled. If we are doing those things, everything else really falls into place. There's been tireless work that continues to ensure that people, there's over 1,830 that have individual service plans, that they have meaningful outcomes, they have accurate self-medicine assessments, and risks are identified and appropriately addressed. And with your assistance, we've been able to reduce the caseloads to about an average of 30, which is permitting SSAs a little more time to spend with each person on their caseload to make sure that they know their needs, they know them better, and if they know them better, they're going to write better plans. And what we have seen is the quality of our plans has been improving in the last 3 months. And it's been incremental. It has been a slow kind of slog through the year, but the last 3 months, all the work has really began to show. Our mission of supporting choices and creating opportunities for people with disabilities and their families centers on how well we know each person, that we identify what's important to and for them. And today, we have converted 481 plans into the Ohio Individual Service Plan. And so doing, we've cleaned up a lot of processes. We've had extensive trainings and retrainings, ensuring that we are capturing the vital elements needed for each plan. So that work has been relentless over the past year. We continue to have solid systems and quality measures for our services and supports in other areas that accreditation is going to get. Early intervention, RNQA, investigative services, and human resources. So we are regularly testing our processes to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to. And by so doing, fulfilling our mission. So as we conclude the superintendent's report this evening, I just want to reflect maybe on some victories that we're seeing. Some are life and death. It was a recent occurrence. We had a little child in preschool, just a young little girl. She was out of school for about a month. She came the first day back. We discovered her whole back had been burned. Just horribly, with scarring, oozing. Our nursing, our school staff, immediately reported it. SSA was involved, Children Protective Services was involved, the sheriff's office was involved, and went to the home, and the conditions of the home, that was just unsafe for the children. So we were able, literally life and death, to extract those people that really couldn't help themselves and remove them. So just one instance where life and death really matters, of many examples that unfortunately happen each month. But there's other successes, other victories that happen. And there's John, who we never thought he would ever get a job. He was certainly more than capable. I mean, I knew him from the workshop so well. Until one day he just said, yeah, it's gonna work. And we're like, it's about time. It's about time. And he is doing so, so well at this time. There's another example, just that, again, some of the apparent smallest victories are our biggest victories. There's a young girl. She is paralyzed on one side. She's nonverbal. She was taken to the doctor, and the doctor, was beginning his exam, addressed her appropriately and just, was talking very nice to her as he began her exam. And what she did was she raised her hands like this. And the doctor was telling me he didn't understand what she wanted. And there was a provider with her. And he goes, hey, she wants you to see her nails. I mean, it is those little victories that really make what we do and make our plans better, make us really kind of fulfill our mission. I mean, that is really what it's about. When someone finds something they love and want to show a complete stranger, I mean, words cannot express the amount of joy that brings our staff. Final example of just a victory. There's this young man, and I say he's young, he's mid-20s, that's young to me these days, who is so very aggressive. And we've been working with him for years to not hit, and not strike, not punch. And he had a roommate, and the provider was telling me, things like, Bill, this was just incredible for this young man, because he's like, I know not to hit, but I want to hit him. I know I shouldn't hit him, but I want to hit him. I'm going to count to 10. I need some time alone. Please let me hit him. He went to his room and he decompressed. And on this night, and I say this night, he didn't hit. And I mean, so the teaching of self-regulation skills and to be able to see someone who has just a really strong past of not only being abused himself, but abusing other people in sometimes the most horrific way. I mean, he's very strong and it can cause, significant harm. But to see him on this night, try to talk himself down. So our successes, they look different for the 4,106 people we support, because they all come with different abilities, different potential, and different experiences. And although we are serving over 4,000 people at this time, for us to be effective, for us to have an impact, for us to matter, we need to serve each person, one person at a time. And for us to do that each day, we gotta get a little better. We gotta make a step forward every single day. And I can tell you at this time, with the work that is being done on behalf of that is great. So, includes this right there. Thank you.
We'll reflect on some of the stories here.
What's that?
Need to reflect on some of the stories. It's a committee and department reports and their back. Are there any additional or deletions that you made? If none, move on. Do not have any old business or new business, but we do have a presentation. Director of Early Intervention and Nursing, to present on the agency's registered nurse quality assessments.
What's that? Are you ready for it? You're ready for it now?
I'm the mother of 3 boys, and Alex is my youngest son. Alex died October 24th of 2013, and I'm here to share his story in hopes to make a difference in the lives of other people.
Alex probably stands out, maybe easier to spot than a lot of the clients in a typical ICFMR home. He was easy to be the favorite because he was funny.
Alex was an amazing young man. He had tons of friends, very, very popular. He could walk into a room and it lit up.
Alex was developmentally handicapped, never learned to read or write, but he had a big, bright, beautiful spirit. He loved theater, he loved music, he loved musicals, he loved camp, he loved people. Alex never knew a stranger.
Alex was a rare kid, and you're not supposed to have favorites, but Alex has always been my favorite.
He was a lot of fun. He was one of those faces that was always super animated, whether it was super sad, super angry, super happy. His face just was lit up with his emotion.
Alex moved into a group home and for 14 months did fantastic. He would see family 3 times a week. He'd go to church with me at Mount Auburn Presbyterian Church. He loved to listen to the choir. His dad would pick him up and take him out to dinner and then take him to Melodic Connections, where he sang in Sing Like a Rock Star musical group. His brother David would pick him up every week and take him to Skyline Chili. So Alex had a really big life and was maturing in a way that he hadn't when he was with us at home.
I kissed him on his head, said, "Love you, butthead," and walked out. That's the last time I ever saw him.
On October 24th, I got a phone call that Alex died. For 6 months, we didn't really know what had happened. And I lived with the belief for 6 months that it was natural causes. 6 months later, we received, the autopsy report that said that he died because he had been given 10 medications that weren't his own.
When these very powerful psychoactive and seizure medicines are given to the wrong people or given in the wrong doses, they can be very harmful, and in fact, they can be lethal.
If Alex didn't get your attention to do your job right, nothing will. All the people you care for, each and every one of them, the easy ones, the hard ones, the funny ones, the cute ones, the one that bit you or slapped you last week, they need your best.
Please be diligent and please be aware, because our children's lives are in your hands.
Good evening. As you saw, Alex Myers died of a lethal medication error. And although this was certainly not intentional, it was absolutely preventable with safe practice, following the rules and laws of medication administration. So I have the pleasure this evening of talking to you about a little tiny piece of the puzzle that helps to keep people safe. And that's our registered nurse quality assessment team. And our job is to safeguard the health and safety of the individuals that we serve. And as I mentioned, self-medication our safe medication administration is a huge process. It starts with proper training, and we are so blessed that we have a nurse educator who we know teaches at Fidelity. And we are also blessed that the board and the agency believes in this so much that we provide these trainings to our DD staff or the direct service personnel at no cost. So that is the foundation for how we start to make sure that our individuals are safe. Supervision at the provider level is another piece, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And then they caught attention to detail, but RNQA is a little piece of a bigger piece of pie, which we'll talk about, that helps with watching the oversight for self-administration or safe medication administration. There's a lot of SAAs, SSAs, and all the other things in here. So first, I'd like to introduce you to the people that are behind the scenes. Ellen Mozart and Shelley Finch-Cedeno have been part of the agency for a very long time. They worked in the workshops, and the positive to this is they know all the individuals. Holly is newer to the team, but I tell Bill all the time, they are small, but they are mighty. Do not cross them or have an individual that is in danger or is not being treated fairly. They are the QA nurses, and Cindy Swanson is our educator that I talked about. And again, if you've been to one of her classes, we know that our individuals are receiving medications from people that have been well trained. So all of these girls can do QAs. So what is it? Registered Nurse Quality Assessment is an assessment review conducted in a setting where medication or treatment is provided by ED personnel who have been certified or med certified. It is amazing to me. When I first started here, I couldn't believe that we had people in our schools that were getting meds. We had people, non-nurses that were getting insulin. People that were hooking up G-tubes, because in my world that just didn't make sense. But now we are training people to do health learning activities, vital signs, apply dressings, do input and output, replace colostomy bags. They administer prescribed medications, oral, topical, and inhalers. They administer oxygen. If they do other med-surg classes, they can do administration of nutrition through a GJ tube. They can also give insulin and treat metabolic glycemic disorders. In the schools, this is so important because it keeps our kids in class and keeps them, where they want to be. And for our individuals, it keeps them in the community. It keeps them working. It keeps them in their home. So the process starts with us identifying locations that require a QA. Those are residential locations with 5 individuals or less, or a adult service location with up to 60 people. The caveat is that somebody in that setting has to have been deemed unable to self-administer their own medications. And that's where Bill was talking about how the SSAs are working on that process. And you can see it's a big cog with it's a wheel with many cogs. And so if one person in that location is unable, then we go in and we assess the whole process. We do this a minimum of every 3 years or more often as necessary. That can be that investigative services sees a problem, they call us, there's an MUI, we might go out and do another one. Provider compliance and support goes out and says they just are missing, some of the pieces of this, so we go out and do a QA. The reason we go out is to help the provider succeed, to help the individual stay where they live. So it is not a punitive thing on our part. We are always there to support and to make things better. The process, I will not bore you. I would love to talk to you if you ever have individual questions. But the graphic is the funnel because they start with an immense amount of data. They look at every ISP for the individuals. They look at all the self-administration assessments. They make sure they match. We've got to make sure that what we deemed on this assessment is actually what's in the ISP. Policies, medication administration records. They go to the homes. They go to the locations, and we watch the process. We see where the meds are stored. Then they complete a tool that's got 14 pages of indicators. And the only one there's lots of different areas, but I want to highlight the certification and provider supervision. The first slide, we talked about how important the supervision was from providers. We monitor that. We want to make sure they have pieces in place to help their their location succeed. The other area that we look at is coordination of care and communication. Preparation, observation, that's all med, basic med, but this is where we go and we make sure to have pieces in place. Johnny is in the hospital, he's coming out. How do we know that those new orders get transcribed or that communication gets to the home? They're not nurses. So how do we put those pieces in place to make sure that they are safe and they get the best care when they get back into the home? If we see problems, we will ask for a plan of correction. Once that's received, we verify that the corrections have been made. Again, it's all about identifying the root cause of issues and trying to fix them. It's not a punitive thing like you were terrible in 5 areas. It's like, hey, I'm seeing a thread. I think you can use more education here. Once it's deemed sufficient, we close the QA. The SSA gets a copy and so does the provider. So that's super quick. Like I said, it's visual. I wanted to talk real briefly about some of the other things that QA nurses do that are not related to actually going into the home and doing the quality assessment. One of their favorite things is a technical assist. And we document this just because we like to reflect on other things we've done throughout the year. So in 2022, we had 94, and this can be helping a provider with complex needs. Providers might call and say, I just got this new individual, he's got MARS, I don't know how to read them. We'll go out that day and help them sort through them. We assist SSAs with complex situations. Somebody coming out of possibly long-term care will help them transition into the home. So we make sure we're not missing things. Do we need wheelchairs? Do we need ramps? What are those kind of things that we need? We also work with investigative services on issues of health and safety. Our nurses have been asked multiple times to go out with the deputy vets to check on an individual. And many few times they have been taken to the hospital because we were so concerned about their overall safety and health. So that's one of the things they really thrive on. As board members, you guys see this graph every single month, but basically we want to highlight that in 2022, we did 118 QAs at different locations, which had an effect on 203 individuals. We love this model because we might go to one location, but it might have an effect on 10 people. And that's a broader net that we're able to cast. We also talked about the classes that Cindy provides. So our med certification classes, she provided 276. She taught 276 DSPs med certification. That's 276 people out in our community that we know have been taught the right way. And that's super important. We also do CPR as needed. The other very dramatic thing that we have been working with this year, as Bill mentioned, we are all working to correct the citations from the recent accreditation. And one of those was the self-administration assessments. So in 2022, the 3 nurses held very detailed trainings for this SSA department. But then they reviewed every single self-administration assessment that was part of an ISP plan. And there's over 850 of them. They then followed up with each SSA and told them exactly what corrections they needed to make. And this is just a graph from January, which you guys got. The different areas. We're looking for incomplete ones. Mostly the self-administration assessment matches what's in the ISP. And I would say, and I think Ed would agree, I think we started around 50% of them were incorrect, and now it's around 25%. So we've made huge strides. And I think that's evident what Bill said. So I wanted to finish with this because I mentioned earlier that RNQA is a piece of this big wheel. And investigative services, provider compliance and support, and the providers all work together. And we're only as strong as all of us working together. And the bottom line is we're here to help in any way capacity, in any capacity that we can. And I will speed up because they told me I had 3 minutes. Are there any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, this time we'll have a review Policy slated for first reading. Tommy will present policies.
Good evening. Policy 4.15, attendance, tardiness, and sick leave was reviewed with no changes. And policy 4.05, volunteers, interns, and practicum students is also reviewed with no changes recommended. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to resolutions. First one being resolution 0823, which is the board expenditures for January. Any motion?
Thank
Anderson seconds.
Thank you. We'll have discussion, please.
Thank you. Good evening. For the month of January, we had local revenues of $216,000, total state revenues of $271,000, and a total federal of $619,000 for total revenues of $1.1 million. We did have two payrolls during the month totaling $1.2 million. Total benefits paid of $656,000 and total other paid of $4.6 million. We did have a waiver match payment that fell. Next month, we'll see the administrative payment. It got split in two, so we'll see the $350,000 admin fee paid next month at our next board meeting. So total expenses for the month of January of $6.5 million, and our expenses exceeded our revenues by $5.4 million. Looking down at the bottom, we started the year of $61.16 million. We had $175,000 in 2022 purchase orders still open as of the end of January, $16.9 million in 2023 purchase orders open, and negative year-to-date position of negative $5.4 million, giving us cash of 38.6 minus our 10 million in reserve, giving us actual unencumbered cash of 28.68 million. Our budget versus actuals, so our year-to-date revenue with 1.1 million is 2.23%. And our total expenses of $6.5 million is 10.9%. We're pretty, obviously really early on in the year, but the target for just 1 month is about 8%. Our available budget at the end of January is $36.3 million and mostly made up of unencumbered waiver match funds and personnel. Our prior year carryover encumbrance report. So we carried over $558,000 in 22 purchase orders. $287,000 were paid in January. We closed $95,000, so we still have about $175,000 open as of the end of that month. So then looking at resolution 020823, you can see the week by week breakdown of our non-payroll expenses and that waiver match paid in that last week. And then our two payrolls up above. If there are no questions, requesting approval of resolution 0208.
No further questions. All in favor of resolution for January expenditures, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. No abstentions. Come in, thank the January RFP. Move the resolution 0209-23, includes the request to purchase a new forklift. Need a motion?
Anderson motion.
In a second?
No question.
Thank you. It's from Tim.
Good evening. Resolution 020923 is asking the authorized superintendent to approve the purchase of a new forklift for here at Whippledale and not to exceed a budgeted amount of $35,000. The board appropriated funds in 2023 to replace the current forklift here at Whippledale Center at a cost not to exceed $35,000. We've reviewed and have several quotes, and we'll be moving forward, hopefully after your approval. We will be trading in also 3 forklifts. We're trading in the current one here at Whippledale, which is a 91 Clark. We're also trading in the 92 Pacer, which came over from Cullen Joliet. And it was a backup to Whippledale for many years. And the current 1998 Toyota that was currently at the Lester Higgins facility up until June. So all 3 of those will be traded in as part of the quote to replace the Clark here at Whippledale. Questions?
What do you use the forklift for?
Moving things. Clark, we can actually move. Now, we still, Whippledale's the main hub for all the supplies that come into the program. So they come in on semis, some for all the parking lots come in through here. We do lift a lot of supplies upstairs for the finance department, there are supplies for offices. So it's a lot of movement. Right now, we're currently housing, I think, almost 45 skids that are waiting for the county auction, which we then load the box truck. So it's multiple use. It's not as high volume use as it used to be when we were a workshop, but it does move stuff around every day. It saves my back and my employees. So you're welcome.
So you're getting rid of 3
Correct.
for 1.
For one.
And why is it? I don't understand that part.
So the 3 that we have, the Clark, we put almost $6,000 in it last year, and it just continually needs service. The Heister is an LP, it's a propane tank, and that's things like a tank. It will lift anything, but it doesn't have the height ratio to get to the second floor. And it used to go outside and lift the wood off the lumber trucks when they come in. And so it was a real tank and it worked, but it's just no use. It pretty much sits and collects dust. And it has a better resale value than, believe it or not, the other 2. And then the Toyota was on loan to TWI when we had Lester Higgins, and it's just got so much issues. It needs quite a bit of money to put it back to drivable. So it's just better to turn all 3 in and get one nice shiny new one. And it's pretty orange and we have it all narrowed down. And I don't even get historical plate for it. Any other questions?
Good question, you guys. Please continue.
Sweat, yeah.
Anything else? I'll bring it next week. We'll drive it. Husband's having a rodeo or something this summer.
Bill can ride in the parade.
Yeah. I think it does, might say like 5 miles an hour. Thanks.
All in favor of the resolution, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. No abstention. The resolution to import truck is approved. Moving to second reading of board policy presented at the January board meeting. Presented by Conrad. Second reading.
Yes, it's a resolution.
Oh, okay. It's down here, resolution 02-10-23 provides approval for board of policy for one. I have more policy.
Check your board book in the president's tab.
Resolution to 02-10-23 to enter into agreement with Old Homes Foundation and Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities for the purchase of a home in Nassau. I need a motion.
Speaking.
A second.
Calvin Lang, second.
Thank you. And more discussion for me.
I'll just briefly say, we had a few of these last year. Hope Homes has constructed a couple new homes. And so we basically front end the money through Neon's, this particular home, $152,520. And then we'll receive the funds back from DODT and we'll move those funds back to Neon. So it's just kind of a pass through. I did want to add, it's not on this property, but we actually are partnering with Hope Homes with one of the homes that they are in the process of building right now, of making it a technology home. So I just kind of wanted to, we're really excited about it. It's going to be like a hub to show other individuals, other people walk through the home, see, what kind of assistive technology that's actually available. There's a couple other counties that we kind of know this one that has something similar. So we're really excited to partner with Hope Homes with this. So thank you for the resolution.
This was a late ad, by the way. We found out a week ago that they wanted to do this, so.
Okay, any questions on the resolution? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Or say nay. No abstentions. Resolution 02-10-23 is approved. Now we move to second reading board policies presented earlier in county.
Policy 1.06, superintendent performance evaluation and compensation. plan resuscitate were all reviewed with no changes recommended.
That brings us to resolution 02-11-23. Provides approval for board policies presented for second reading. I need a motion.
Montrose.
Thank you. Second.
Smith, second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. No abstentions. Board policy is approved. I now need a motion to adjourn.
Anderson, motion.
Melissa?
50 seconds.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. No abstentions. We are adjourned at 6:42.